Hey, welcome to the How to Podcast series. It's Dave back again. Happy to be with you. What happens when you come across a hater? What do? Someone reaches out and leaves you a nasty review on your podcast. Someone leaves you a nasty review on your book. Jumps on your Instagram and starts hammering you for who you are and how dare you, and on and on and on. What do you do when a hater reaches out and dishes a whole world of hate? How do you respond to that? Here on the How to Podcast series. So the one thing I want to say right off the top is that when you create content and put stuff into the world, no matter what it is, we're talking podcasting, there's the potential that there's someone who, for some reason, feels that their duty in life to put you down. Now, we're all learning, we're all growing, we're all starting from zero. Every podcaster, every content creator starts with 0 followers, 0 listeners, and we're working at it and growing as we go. So, perspective here. First off, you're doing something that most people will never do by having a podcast. You're sharing your voice with the world. And with all of your insecurities, all of your thoughts of how can I do this? Who am I to do this? Who would ever listen to me? You're doing something that no one else is doing. So perspective right off the bat, you're already in that small percentage of people who feel compelled to share a message with the world. Okay? What's worse is when experts in podcasting make fun of you and mock you because you're not doing it their way. Those people you need to ignore. They don't bring value to your podcast. They don't bring value to you. And they really aren't coaches. They're judge. They just judge. That's all they do. Because they're either intimidated by you and how easy it is to start a podcast now, where they started back when it was hard. For some reason, you're a threat. And people try to isolate threats through how they treat you and how they talk about you behind your back. Okay? So I found this clip scrolling through social media, and I thought it was really, really a powerful message to share with you. So I'm putting it in here, and then we're going to come back and talk about how to deal with haters when we're creating content for the world because we have a message. But here, this clip really sets the tone for what I want to talk about today here on the How to Podcast series. Here's the clip.
When a person doesn't like you, they team up with another person that doesn't like you. And before you know it, there's a whole slew of people that hate you. But here's the thing. Those people, they don't even like each other. They're only gathered because of you. See how powerful you are?
I love that. So see how powerful you are? You actually attract haters to you, right? Think about that for a second. They're coming to you. You're not going to them and say, hello, can someone please hate me? No, they're coming to you. There's something about you, like a moth to a flame. They're coming to you for some reason. So just understand the power dynamics of that for a second. Again, they're coming to you. Okay, so let that sink in for a second. So as a new podcaster dealing with haters, is going to be really, really tough. Okay, you're putting yourself out there. Here are some simple tips to help keep in mind when dealing with haters. I got 6 of them for you. Here we go. Number 1. Hey! Don't take negative comments personally. Okay. I know it's very hard to say, hard to do, easy to say. Dave, come on. Don't take them personally. Like they just ruined me. They just wrecked my world. They jumped in and said something that just devastated me. Okay. You have to separate yourself from the comment. Okay? Somebody told me early days when I was in college that if someone has a problem with you, to some degree, are part of the problem. Okay, now you're like, oh, that doesn't make me feel good. Think about this for a second. Example, you're on your way to work, you're in line, you're driving down the road, and someone behind you is not having a good day. You get in front of them for some reason, and they take it personally. They're honking at you, they're flipping you off, they're yelling at you. They're melting down. Okay. I had a guy do this to me on the highway, and he had a crappy old car, and the thing was just held together with tape and well wishes. He's booting down the highway. Thing sounds like a tank. And for some reason, he wasn't having a good day, and he took it out on me. I was in the middle lane. He was in the fast lane, and there was one lane on my right-hand side. So I'm right stuck in the middle. He pulls up beside me, and for some reason, I don't even remember seeing him on the highway, to be quite honest. He looks through his passenger window at me, and I look over at him because he slowed down beside me. I'm like, what's going on? And he's like flipping out. And I'm like, dude, what's your problem? Like, and so I'm slowing down because I don't want to engage with this crazy person. And then as he's yelling at me and he's looking out his passenger window, the latch of his hood comes undone, and his hood flips open and smashes onto his windshield, shattering his windshield, blocking his view, causing him to drive into the median and destroy his car. Well, what was left of his car, because it was really a piece of junk. So I just kept driving because, hey, there you go. Karma, I guess, right? I don't know. I'm not a big believer, but hey, it worked in that situation. So these people just come out of nowhere. You don't know what you did or how you attracted their attention, but for some reason, they think that you need to know how terrible you really are. So maybe I did something, maybe I didn't, but for some reason in that situation, if somebody has a problem with you, you are part of the problem. And for me, it could just be that I was there at that moment in time. Don't take any negative comments personally. Separate yourself from the comment. Put it aside. Come back to it later and look at it some other time. But in the moment, don't react. Okay? Number 2, hey! Try to learn from any constructive feedback that you receive. Try to learn from constructive feedback. It's very hard to do. And I wouldn't try to do it right away. I'd let it sit. Think about it. How are these words impacting me? Is there a nugget of truth somewhere buried in this? Try to learn from any type of constructive feedback. I offer this for podcasters. If you want somebody to listen to your show and give you some feedback on maybe your titles, your podcast name, your episode, you want me to listen to your show, I would love to do that for you. And as a fellow podcaster, I'm here to encourage you, not judge you. Again, go back in my history of podcast episodes. You know how much I hate when people judge people. I'm here to coach. I'm here to help. I'm here to be another ear, another outside source of information to maybe help you in your podcast journey. Always available. howtopodcast.ca. Let me know. I'll listen to your show and release it here on the podcast so other people can hear how great you're doing. And some tweaks maybe that would help your show improve. Free. Never charge for it. Here it is for you. Okay. howtopodcast.ca. Go check it out. So number 3. Hey! When dealing with haters. Number 3, ignore or delete comments that are hateful or abusive. You do not need to engage with these people at all. Delete it, remove it, however you can do it. Just get rid of that. Don't even engage. They don't deserve a response. And your audience will see these comments, and in many cases, your audience will step up on your behalf and engage with that person and tell them how wrong they are for what they've said about you and what you're putting out into the world. So ignore or delete any comment that is full of hate or abuse. Do not engage. It didn't happen. Delete it. Get rid of it. Okay? Please do that. And don't ruminate on what they've said. Don't let it sink in. Don't let it get to your heart. They don't deserve your time or your attention. Please ignore, delete anything hateful or abusive. Number 4, hey! Respond kindly to negative comments that are not abusive. You've received a comment. It might not be positive rainbows and bunny rabbits, but you can respond kindly to it and thank the person for their time. Somebody reached out to you and took time. I'm thinking it's come from a good place. Maybe they do have some feedback for you that can make your show better. Don't dismiss them. Don't And don't go after them and attack them. They responded to you. It's a voice. If you only respond to the good comments, how is that going to help your podcast grow? Okay? Respond kindly to negative comments that are not, again, not abusive. Number 5, focus on your supporters and the positive impact you are having. For me, I have a file folder in my Gmail account, and it's just called good thoughts or good comments, something like that. Anytime someone leaves me any kind of feedback, reaches out through my SpeakPipe, which you can do on howtopodcast.ca, when they reach out to me and leave me a good comment, or leave me a good email, they all go in that folder. And if I ever hear anything that's negative, my first reaction, go to that folder and read the comments of people who really have been impacted and enjoy the show. That's where you need to reset your thought patterns, reset who you are, and go back to the good comments that people have reached out and given you. So number 5, focus on your supporters, your community, your listeners, and the positive impact that you're having on their life and on their show, on however they're taking your content. Lastly, number 6, take a break from social media if things get overwhelming. Do you need to have social media to be a podcaster? No. You don't. Social media and podcasting are 2 completely different things. Social media is excellent to help grow a community around your show, yes. But not everyone on social media is a podcast listener. They don't deserve 100% of your attention. The people who deserve 100% of your attention are your listeners who are on the podcast apps, listening to your show, engaged with you, you're in their ears on a regular basis, and they know, love, respect, and care about you as a host. That is who you should be focused on. So if your Instagram gets all crazy and people are negative, if your Facebook, your TikTok, your Clapper, wherever you're on, gets out of hand, take a break. And I know there's a lot of podcast gurus that are Instagram people who have podcasts. They won't agree with me on this one. So, yeah, to each its own. I'm not an Instagram social media person who has a podcast. I'm a podcaster who has social media. I look at it differently. My podcast audience is my main focus. Everything else is extra. So if I don't post on Instagram 6 times a day, if I don't do all the things that everyone tells you to do as a podcast guru, it doesn't bother me because not everyone even on social media cares what a podcast even is. So focus on your listener. That's how you grow your show. 100,000 followers on Instagram and you have 10 listens on your show, something's backwards. Something is very, very backwards for you. Focus on your listeners, grow your listener number, and then support it with your social media. I know there's going to be a lot of people who will be like, I'm probably going to get some hate just for saying that, to be quite honest. And all I have to say is, hey, if it's not constructive, I don't care what you really think. To be quite honest, if it's constructive, I will definitely take it to heart. 6 things to keep in mind when you're dealing with a hater. Don't take negative comments personally. Try to learn from constructive feedback. Ignore and delete comments that are hateful and abusive. Respond kindly to negative comments that are not abusive. Focus on your supporters and the positive impact that you are having. And when things go terribly wrong on social media, take a break if it gets overwhelming. Remember that haters are often a small group of people, so don't let their negativity discourage you from creating great content for your listeners. A small percentage of your audience is going to respond to you, but think about the ones that don't. They're still there for you. They're still listening every day. They're still listening to every episode. And they're there and they're cheering you on, even if the crowd seems quiet sometimes. They're still there. They still show up. So keep going. You got this. And don't let haters stop you from the next episode of your podcast. You're doing well. And people love it. And you love it. And you have a message for the world. Don't let a single hater step in the way between you and your audience. continue to build your community. And you got this. If you ever need help, reach out, howtopodcast.ca. I'd love to connect with you there. Looking forward to the next one. Keep podcasting.